this message.
Assalamu alaikum, family. It's your brother Landon X. This is NationTownTV live on YouTube for the first time. NationTownTV live. And listen, we're gonna talk about cancel culture. Cancel culture. Is cancel culture good for the culture? Let's deal with it.
I was told to deliver this message.
Rio.
We are back. Shout out to everybody chiming in on YouTube. This is NationTownTV live. This is our very first YouTube live. I told you that once we pass that 1,000 subscriber threshold, that we were going to start broadcasting more on YouTube. We've actually garnered. Remember, we were doing nothing with the YouTube channel for like 3 years. Nothing. We were hardly even posting content. We were primarily on Facebook, but just in the last 6 months, we've added about 1,000 subscribers. Shout out to all our new subscribers. And you're gonna see a lot of us as far as broadcasting live on YouTube. So shout out to everybody chiming in. I'm your brother Landon X once again, and we are dealing with the topic of cancel culture exposed. But before we get down to that exposure, let's start off in the proper fashion, as we always do on NationTownTV live. In the name of Allah, the beneficent and most merciful, I bear witness that there is no God but Allah, who appeared to us in the person of Master W. Fard Muhammad, the long-awaited Messiah of the Muslims and the Mahdi of the long-awaited Messiah of the Christians and the Mahdi of the Muslims. But if you know better, you know that it's all the same. I further bear witness that Muhammad is his messenger. What Muhammad? I'm speaking of none other than the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, with all due love and respect and gratitude to Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, who actually revealed the Holy Quran 1400 years ago over the span of 23 years. I love Prophet Muhammad. I love him until my dying day. However, the Holy Quran promised in the chapter of 10 and 47, as well as 16 and 36, that certainly a messenger would be raised for every nation. It didn't say some nations. It didn't say certain kinds of nations. It said every nation. And that messenger for this nation is indeed the most honorable Elijah Muhammad, who is the messenger of Allah at minimum, but in fact the exalted Christ, and he is responsible for the resurrection, solely responsible for the resurrection of the Aboriginal man throughout the Western Hemisphere, particularly the jungles and the hills of North America. And I would know nothing of the most honorable Elijah Muhammad. I would know nothing of Master Fard Muhammad if these two hands did not combine to give us our divine leader, teacher, and guide, speaking of none other than the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. And those three great names I greet the YouTube family in the words of peace. We said in the Arabic language of Assalamu alaikum. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, brother official MNIB. I mean, that's a Nation Town veteran right there, man. We love you, brother. I see you from Manchester, England. From Manchester, what is it, Boulevard here in Los Angeles, all the way to Manchester, England. All praises are due to Allah, man. We love y'all out there. I love the brothers and sisters from the UK region. Those are real soldiers right there, because they never even get the opportunity for the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan to actually step foot on their soil, particularly in England, because of the ban that was put on him, but they still remain steadfast. So I got a special place in my heart for our UK region believers. But shout out to everybody chiming in. Hit us up with your questions and comments as we go. It's the same as it was on Facebook, and many of you have already been watching when we post our Facebook broadcast on YouTube. So it's the same process. Hit us up in the chat with any questions and comments as we go. But we dealing with a hot topic. But those of you that have been following NationTownTV for some time, you know that we don't really make it a habit of trying to be like, you know, like an ambulance chaser, first on the scene kind of thing. You know, we don't really want to do that, because we really want to let the situation settle. And when our brother Bill Cosby, who last week or week before last was released from prison, I found it to be exciting news. I was happy for my brother. I love the manner in which it happened. But when things like that happen, it's important that we all, regardless of, you know, what you're affiliated with, what your religious beliefs are, it's always important to take a step back for a minute and then just let the dust settle, because it may reveal something even more critical to the topic. And that's exactly what happened. So we're not just dealing with Bill Cosby. We're not even going to get too much into the meat of his situation. That's not what this is about. The whole culture of cancel culture. And the question is, we're dealing with exposing it for what it actually is and what it really is. But before we get deep into that, first of all, to all my YouTube family, y'all know what it is. Y'all know what it is, man. Go ahead and subscribe if you haven't already. Make sure you subscribe. If you're on Facebook, you can hit us up there, NationTownTV as well. But if you are on YouTube and you have not yet subscribed to NationTownTV, I don't know what you're going through, but you need to get off your shoulders and make that happen. Last but not least, also, you know the deal. Hit us up, show us some love on Cash App, $NationTown. No TV, just $ Nation Town, and go ahead and show us some love that way as well. Keep in mind that a percentage of all your contributions on Cash App goes to our Meal and a Message program. Our Meal and a Message program is the Yes Ma'am program, where we go into the community providing food and sustenance as well as personal care products for our beloved people here in the Los Angeles area, as well as beyond, inshallah. But we give them the kind of food and products that we use and that we eat. We give them whole wheat bread, bean pies, the whole nine, fresh fruit, and that illustrious bean soup, the same things we eat. You know, that's something that we're charged with as Muslims, is that when we do give to charity, you don't give anything to charity that you wouldn't use yourself, even if it's a pair of jeans. You know, if you got a pair of jeans and a raccoon, you know, squirt on it or something, you don't give it to a needy person. If you wouldn't wear it, why should they? So that's what we do with the Meal and the Message. So definitely show us some love there. But we're going to get right into it. I do not intend to be on long, but y'all know how we do. We do intend to be on strong. Shout out, I see you, Yasiel Joy. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. That's another OG, Nation Town OG. Man, we love the support, the consistent support that y'all show us. That's why we had to go ahead. We got tired of being shadow banned on Facebook. Right now, we're currently shadow banned on Facebook. They might kick us off of YouTube. I don't care. We're working on our own platform anyway. But, you know, with shadow ban, for those that don't know, that's when they severely bottleneck or limit the amount of people that can see what you're doing when you go live and when you post content. We you know, right now we're looking at about 1,500 and some change subscribers on YouTube after doing nothing on YouTube for 3 years. But then on Facebook, we have close to 8,000 followers. 8,000. It really should be about 15, 16,000, but we've been shadow banned for about a year. So they've been really choking out, you know, everything we post, and, you know, we're just trying to maneuver away from there, just trying to outsmart the enemy. So we're here on YouTube, and I'm starting to really fall in love with the YouTube platform anyway. I was more comfortable with Facebook, but now we're going to be on YouTube. Y'all going to get tired of us. Y'all going to see us so much going live on YouTube. But let's get down to it. Cancel culture. Expose. Because it's thrown around. That's a word that's thrown around. It's a topic that's thrown around. And we've seen a lot of black celebrities become victimized by it. It's been some whites too, but if you notice, there's been a lot more publicity when it's a brother that falls victim to it. And a lot of people talk about it. A lot of people even call for certain individuals to get canceled, but they don't even really know what it means. First, what we're going to do, we're going to go over what pop culture considers to be cancellation or cancel culture. And then we're going to break down what it really is, Nation Town style. But, you know, first and foremost, this is the actual definition that I got from my research of what they consider cancel culture to be. Cancel culture, or call-out culture, is a modern form of ostracism in which someone is thrust out of social or professional circles, whether it be online, on social media, or in person. The expression cancel culture has mostly negative connotations and is commonly used in debate on free speech and censorship. So that's what they say it means. That's what they say it means, but I'm going to give you a more layman and clearer definition. And then we're going to ask the simple question, is it good for the culture? Is it good for the culture? Because basically what it is what it sounds like on the surface is the culture policing itself. It's those of us who belong to the culture. And by the culture, we're talking about, well, the part of the culture that I'm concerned with. I'm not concerned with anybody else's culture. We're talking about the African diaspora all over the world, hip hop culture, and just black people and Aboriginal people in general. That's the culture that I speak of. And then cancel culture is kind of like the police of that culture. It defends those who are already oppressed. And it's like a we're not going to take it anymore kind of mentality. It sounds really good on the surface, but let's look at what it really is in layman's terms. Nation Town style, so you don't miss. Let's check it out. What is cancel culture? One, the first step. Here's the first step. This is how it starts. You do something or say something offensive to already oppressed people. This means you said something that was offensive to black people, offensive to Hispanics, offensive to Asians, offensive to women. Any group of people that's already took it on the chin for years is already oppressed in some kind of way. And now here you come with something that what they call tone deaf. You say something that's offensive to them. Now let's go further. That's the first step. That's when you know you messed up. Bill Duke style. You know you messed up, right? When you do something or say something that's offensive to oppressed people. Then the second step, number 2, is the incident is shared and heavily circulated on social media. Now word is getting around that you messed up. You said something you shouldn't have said. You said something that was offensive. You said something that's not down to the modern times, that the modern culture cannot get with, that the modern culture is not does not approve of. Okay, that's the second step. And then this is where it gets real. It gets real right here. A social, financial, cultural, and artistic boycott of that person or construct or entity. Social, financial, and culture. If you're a rapper, we ain't checking for your new album, bruh. If you're an actor, we not going to your movie. If you got a TV show, we're not watching your show. And we're going to put pressure on the network that broadcasts your show to cancel your show. We going all the way. That's what cancel culture pretends to be or pertains to be. Anything that you're doing, we no longer partake in it. If you got a statue, if you got a painting, if you're an artist and you got a painting hanging up in a museum somewhere, we taking it down. You done, you cancel, as they say. Let's go further. Step 4. Now here's where it really gets crazy. Because it's not just, and shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, Brother Patrick Muhammad. Wa alaikum salam. But it's not just that we're going to deal with you. We're going to label anyone that is sympathetic as complicit, such as our sister, Felicia Rashad. If you haven't been following the news, Felicia Rashad was ecstatic when Brother Bill Cosby was released from prison. She basically said in a nutshell, paraphrasing, that justice had prevailed. And that was literally and legally absolutely factual. Justice had indeed prevailed. I told you I wasn't going to get too deep into the case itself, that particular case, because we talking about cancel culture across the board. But for those who don't understand, Bill Cosby, first of all, wasn't a technicality. It just wasn't. It just wasn't. America, as hypocritical as America indeed is, it does have a written law. Every law is written. And the thing that everybody has heard, now black people, we don't seem to see it much or experience it much, but everybody has heard the terminology innocent until what? Proven guilty. The proven guilty part does not include Facebook. It does not include black Twitter or white Twitter or polka dot Twitter. It does not include YouTube. Sorry about that. It does not include personal opinion. That proven guilty part means jurisprudence, meaning your day in court, judged by a judge and a jury of your so-called peers. But you are innocent until proven guilty. And if there are any special circumstances that take place where you agree to give a statement that's off the record or will not be used against you. What do they tell you? Come on now, come on. Like Dave Chappelle said, black people, we are all certified paralegals. Me, I'm literally a paralegal as well as a Negro certified paralegal. But we all have to deal with the law more than anybody else in this country and in the Western Hemisphere. I bet you my brother in Manchester, I know y'all got to deal with the police more than anybody else in Manchester. I know for a fact. You ain't even got to tell me, brother. You ain't even got to tell me. So we're all abreast to the basics of the law. You have a right to remain silent. Anything you say can and will be used against you unless there is a signed agreement that it cannot. I'm going to say that again. Unless there's a signed agreement that it cannot. Bill Cosby never admitted to forcing women to take anything, do anything, go anywhere. He did offer Quaaludes. And you know who else offered Quaaludes? Every damn body else in Hollywood, including people outside of Hollywood. It was one of the drugs of choice. It was the downer to the upper. It was the downer side of cocaine. You got high. This is how it went down in Hollywood. You got high as hell on cocaine in the morning. And then when you finally know you needed some sleep, even though you were still turned up, you took a Quaalude, which is a modern equivalent of lean and all the downer pills and Vicodin and all these kind of things that they taking now. That was the thing that they did. You got rappers bragging about the downers that they take now, and they did it in a braggadocious way back then. So he offered it like a bag of chips. Hey man, I got these chips. You want some? And they said sure, and they took it. Many of them didn't even claim that he forced them. I don't think any of them claimed that he forced them. He offered it. They took it. In fact, one of the main accusers said out her own mouth, he gave me a Quaalude. I accepted it. I took it. We had sex. I woke up. He offered to take me home. I said yes. He took me home. He made sure I got home safe, told me good night, and went home. Now, where did it go wrong? When he gave that statement where he admitted that he offered the Quaalude, he also already had an agreement and a written legal understanding that meeting would never be brought up in the trial. It was. Since they went against that absolutely nullified the entire proceeding. Now, if a case is thrown out, any case, murder case, civil case, small claims case, if anything is thrown out, it resets the process. Now, what's the process? Go back to where we started. Innocent until proven guilty. But see, here's the problem. Here's the colloquial and social problem with that. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you, brother Ben Kessie. I see you, sister Rhea, brother Ernest, Wa Alaikum Salam, big brother. So here's the problem with that. You got a colloquial issue. Because as a black man in the Western Hemisphere, there's no such thing as innocent until proven guilty. It's the other way around. You're guilty until proven innocent. And even when you're proven innocent, we still gonna say, keep an eye on that nigga. That's the actual law. I don't know if that's written down verbatim anywhere, but that's what's on the minds. But here's the sad part. That's what's on the minds of white people. And it's also on the minds of us. That's what's sad. I'm not tripping over Karen feeling that way. That's her nature. I'm not tripping over Brad feeling that way. That's his nature. But when our own sisters feel that way, or when brothers feel that way, that's a damn shame, especially when we are all subject to fall under that same abortion of the law. That is not the law. You are not guilty until proven innocent. It's the other way around. So before your trial, innocent. If the trial is thrown out, innocent. You go back. You go back to where you started. Innocent. if they fail to give you your day in court, your proper jurisprudence, you go back to innocent. You don't go back to, I don't trust that nigga. No, that's not a law. That's not in the books. Look for it. It ain't in there. Well, it was 58 white women that said, wait a minute, where is that in the law? There's nothing in the law that says if a certain amount of people say you did it, that means you did it. What law is that? I'm going to tell you what law that is. That's the mob mentality law that the Ku Klux Klan operated on. That's the mentality that got Black Wall Street burned down based on Dick Rowland. That was the young brother, the young teenager that was accused of accosting a white woman. That's what killed Emmett Till. Accusations. It doesn't matter who, where, when. If they don't get their day in court, they are innocent. If their day in court is mishandled in a way that is unjust to them, then they go back to innocent. That's how it works. Now, let's keep going. Let's keep going. That's as deep as I'm going to go right now on that Bill Cosby thing. But shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. I see you, Brother Billy. All praises due to Allah. I see you all, dear family. Wa alaikum salam to everybody chiming in. And then the fifth thing, the fifth element of cancel culture. Those who wish to keep their status in good standing is pressured to co-sign the cancellation. Pressured. They won't even let you, they won't even let other celebrities and other people, even in that realm, even if it's not show business, they won't even allow others to straddle the fence on it. As soon as the accusations came up about Bill Cosby, about R. Kelly, even Michael Jackson, when it came up about Bill Cosby, everybody every black face in the comedy circuit was asked about Bill Cosby. Almost all of the black comedians used that as an opportunity to tell jokes, none of which were funny. None of them. Even some of them were comedians that I liked, but their Bill Cosby jokes just were not funny. They just were not funny. That's my personal opinion. Some of them used it to try to further their career, and some of them did for about 15 minutes. And then others just jumped on the bandwagon. They start adding extras to it, start lying and gossiping like little high school girl. Oh yeah, I heard Bill Cosby was doing all of that. When R. Kelly, both times that his accusations came up, but especially this most recent time, they pressured everybody in the music industry. What about R. Kelly? What do you think about R. Kelly? Now, the same people who 5 years ago was like, oh yeah, I got R. Kelly on my album. Oh yeah, I'm working with R. Kelly. Oh, I want to work with R. Kelly. Oh, R. Kelly wrote the lyrics to my last album. Oh, I love R. Kelly. Oh, I got to get on a song with R. Kelly. Now it's like, oh, I always knew who R. Kelly was. Really? Really? Did you know that when you was begging to be the undercard on his tour? When you was begging to be his opening act? Did you know about it then, sir or ma'am? But then, when these things happen, they pressure them. Because now, if you with it, you can't even say, hey man, that's R. Kelly's business. I'm here to talk about my album. Now the headline tomorrow is going to be MC so-and-so R&B singer got agitated about and was defensive of R. Kelly, was defensive of Bill Cosby, defensive of Michael Jackson. That's what happens to you. They tried to take Felicia Rashad. Who did Felicia Rashad give a quaalude to? Forcefully or otherwise. Back when I was a single man, let me stop. But Felicia, that's Claire Huxtable. What she do to anybody? She worked for this man for 2 decades. She worked with this man for 2 decades. Made history with him. More people watched the Cosby Show. I think it was 1987 where more people watched the Cosby Show than watched the Super Bowl that same year. I think the Cosby Show's highest rated episode that season was neck and neck with the damn Super Bowl. I'm talking the Super Bowl, man. The Super Bowl where they charge you $1 million for a 30-second or $2-3 million for a 30-second advertisement. These two made history together. They made millions of dollars together. They worked beautifully together. You can see their chemistry on every episode of course she's happy for him. Everybody watching this got an uncle or auntie whose second home is the prison system. Aren't you happy when they come home? Aren't you? If your son, if your daughter, if a good friend of yours, they went to jail, they went to prison, it turns out that their trial was botched, so now they get to come home. Are you happy? Of course you are. But this cancel culture is basically saying you can't even be happy. You can't even be happy. Howard buckled, a supposedly black school named after white folks, but founded by white folks, but black. Shout out to Howard. Ready to fire this sister about being happy about the man that put her on the map. And the same man who has donated millions of dollars to Howard, as well as multiple other HBCUs. I bet they won't get that money back. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. Brother Official MNIB said, if it's not happened already, I'd love for Brother Bill to enjoy the company of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. They actually have met, dear brother, I believe it was a few years ago. There's a beautiful picture that's circulating of the minister. He was sitting down. He had his hand on Bill Cosby's either his shoulder or his face. I'm sure giving him some wise guidance. He has a lot of love and respect for the minister and the Nation of Islam. Shout out to Brother Muslim Muhammad. He said, wake us up, Brother Minister, landing next. You are teaching good, soldier. All praises due to Allah. Shout out to Big Brother Hakeem. Wa alaikum salam. All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah. And, of course, our illustrious executive producer, Sister Shauna Joy. I'm going to hear something about that Felicia Rashad Quaalude comment when we get off broadcast. But it's all good. I'll take that L for Felicia. It's all good. But moving along, family. Hit us up with your questions and comments. Make sure y'all show us some love on $ Nation Town. We won't be on much longer, but we intend to be stronger because we're going to close out real strong. Now that we done went over what cancel culture actually is, when you really look at that, when you look at those concepts, let me bring that back up just so we clear on what it is. I'm going to go over it. Do something or say something that's offensive to already oppressed people. The incident is shared and heavily circulated on social media. A social, financial, cultural, and even artistic boycott commences. That's the cancellation. Number 4, label anyone that is sympathetic to your foolishness as complicit, such as how they did Felicia Rashad. Number 5, those who wish to keep whatever status they have in good standing, they're pressured to co-sign the cancellation. NationTownTV family, can I tell you a secret? Please don't be mad at me. What I just read, I love that concept. I mean, that is a wonderful, look at it, man. Ain't it cute? That is perfect. That is beautiful. You're not going to disrespect this already oppressed group of people and get away with it. And if you do, if we just even feel like you did, we coming for your head. I can't get mad at that. But I got a question. I have one problem with it that don't sit right with me. Because we looking at that's the rules, right? That's the big 5. Those are the 5 elements of cancel culture. So to Black Twitter, which is always canceling people, to Black Lives Matter, and when all the lesbians that run Black Lives Matter, just facts, I'm not making mockery, when they come together and decide to cancel somebody, usually a black male, when all these whoever's pulling the strings in the 10%, when it comes to cancel culture, whenever they do it, They do it. But I got to them, to all those ringleaders and gatekeepers of cancel culture, I have a question. I love the concept. I love the system. I love the rules. I respect the rules. I actually approve of those rules, but I have a question. Why haven't we canceled the culture that canceled our culture? Hello, somebody. I'm gonna let that one marinate. I'm just gonna leave that up there for a minute. You know, let that sear into your mind. Why, since we so on this kick about cancel culture, okay, I'm with it. Let's go. I'm about that life. Why haven't we canceled the culture that canceled our culture? The same cancel culture that canceled Bill, that canceled R. Kelly, tried to cancel Michael Jackson. Why haven't we canceled the culture that canceled our culture? What do you mean, Brother Landon? Do I have to explain it? What do you think took place in 1555? Not 1619. That's what your high school, your public school told you. But if you go to the Library of Congress and do your research, you'll find that the beginning of the slave trade in the Americas began in 1555, a slave ship called Jesus. And they called it slavery. They called it slavery, people. Listen, they called it slavery, but it really was something much more grotesque and much more devious than slavery. If you do your research, slavery is a very ancient concept. It actually still exists here in America. It's where you owe a debt and then you have to work down that debt. But you keep your name, you keep your culture, you keep your religion. You might even marry into the family that you become a servant to. And when you've met your debt, you go free. That kind of slavery, that's usually the slavery that you're reading about in scripture. That kind of slavery existed for eons. It still exists. You're not going to that for our brothers, and I'm not making fun, but our brothers and sisters that still work a job that you don't like, you're not going up in that cubicle every day dealing with that a-hole supervisor, dealing with that old foolish job every day for fun. You got a car note debt. You got a mortgage debt. You got rent to pay debt. You got credit card bills debt, and you working it down. They put slavery on. They put the title of slavery on Western chattel servitude, just like they did football. We know football. We got our brother from Manchester on deck. In America, when we say football, we're talking about shoulder pads, field goals, touchdowns, first downs, wide receivers, quarterbacks. But to the rest of the world, football is what we call soccer. But America just put the name football on a sport where rarely your foot touches the ball. Just field goals and kickoffs and punts. That's it. The rest of the game is tackles, passes, catches. That's it. But it's called football. And they did the same thing with slavery. They took that term and put it on Western chattel servitude. But it's much worse than any other type of slavery. And it started with the process of making a slave that kicked off between 1555 and 1619. It started with canceling that brother or that sister's culture. That's how you transformed an African king, an African god, male or female, and transformed them into a nigger, transformed them into a slave. You took away, you canceled their culture. You canceled the emphasis on family. You canceled their connection to God as they knew it. You canceled their language and their ability to communicate. You canceled the line of connection between the young and the old. That's culture. That's real culture. Culture ain't music or just music. Culture ain't the way you dress, the way you talk, and the way you type on Twitter. That ain't culture. Culture is how you run your family, how you connect with God. how you run your village, not where you rent, not where the government allows you to stay, your village. They canceled that. So why haven't we canceled the culture that canceled our culture? Keep in mind, family. Keep in mind. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I see you. All praises due to Allah. All praises due to Allah. Brother Muslim said, and Brother Minister Landon, bake a very good taste of Navy bean pie. Thank you, sir. All praises. That's that famous LA honey bean, brother. All praises due to Allah. But keep in mind, cancellation has not been limited to individuals. Because some of y'all might be thinking, well, how we going to cancel all white people? That's not fair. Listen, cancel culture is not just for people. It's for brands. It's for companies. It's for constructs. It's even for entire wings of the government. Let me prove it. I'm not just going to drop. I'm a Muslim. I'm an FOI. I'm a student of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan. I don't just drop something on your head and just tell you to believe it. No, we prove it. I was in the grocery store the other day. I saw something that kind of shook me up. I was looking at the rice. Now, one of the most popular brands of rice is Uncle Ben's rice, right? Uncle Ben. Everybody love Uncle Ben. But then I saw this foolishness. Ben's Original. I was like, wow. And it was, you know, I wasn't in Aldi. You know, that's the kind of stuff you see in Aldi. You see like, you know, really sweet flakes instead of Frosted Flakes. You know, instead of Cheerios, it's like Happy O's, you know. But I'm in a well-known grocery store. And I see Ben's Original rice. I'm like, what the hell is that? And where's the brother? Where my uncle at? They decided that they ain't going to cancel Uncle Ben. That's somehow having a brother on the cover of the thing with a bow tie, looking proud, is somehow demeaning to black people. So now it's just Ben. They did the same thing to Annie, to Auntie, TT. They did TT like that. Aunt Jemima. Everybody that eat pancakes and waffles love them some Aunt Jemima. Oh, but somebody at Black Lives Matter, probably some Jewish white girl, 75 pounds, said, oh, I think that's offensive. They should take her off the box. And they changed it to Pearl Milling Company. I don't know what that is. These are brands. These are whole companies. But then on top of that, y'all ready for this? One of the hottest topics of 2020 and 2021 has been this. No justice, no peace. Defund the police. You have people who believe that we should cancel the police department. We should cancel them, defund them. If they want to be police and they want to serve and protect, let them do it on a shoestring budget. I'm not saying I'm for or against that, but that just proves that the cancel culture is not limited to individuals. Now, something else I want to point out, speaking of the police, because this defund the police movement really started to gain ground after this devil did what he did. After this devil right here did what he did. But let's think about the police for a minute. I'm gonna need y'all to follow me on this. Here's why I feel like I'm justified in asking the question. When are we gonna cancel the culture that canceled our culture? And I'm talking about Caucasian culture. I'm talking about white supremacy. Because you might say, well, wait a minute, Landon, you want white people, every white person, everyone to suffer for what one person or a few 100,000 did? Oh my God, that's terrible. Okay. Or it happened so long ago. Slavery, we're past slavery. We're free now. Didn't you see us protesting after George Floyd? We're allies. It's allyship is what they call it now. Okay. Like I said, as black people, we become unofficial certified paralegals due to the fact that we deal with the law more than any other people on this earth. And here's what happens when you get pulled over. You get pulled over, and then the police officer walks up to your window And they say, license and registration, please. And then you give them the license and registration. And then he says, sit tight for a minute. We hate hearing those words. Now, what is he going to do when he takes your driver's license and registration and goes back to his car? Come on, NationTownTV, YouTube family, hit me up. What does that mean? What is he about to do? Is he just about to go, just sit in his car and just look at your picture? No. He's going to run a background check on you as an individual. He's looking for warrants. He's looking for previous traffic violations. He's looking for all of those things. And if something pops up on that computer that's not kosher, then you're going to see that dreaded second police car pull up. Oh, my God. We all know what the second police car. I ain't even no thug, and I know what the second police car mean. That's the worst sign for a white man, for a black man to see, when you see that second police car pull up after they done ran your license. What they doing is they checking your history. They're checking what you did in the past. If you have a warrant for your arrest today, that's how warrants work. Warrants are based on what you did yesterday, and they have yet to officially charge you and arrest you for it today. But they really would like to. That's how warrants work. I'm not talking down to y'all. I'm just making it very clear. So if that's how it works, and that's not the only place it works like that. It works like that even with an apartment or a house. Nowadays, to get an apartment here in LA, to get a 200 square foot efficiency or studio apartment, you got to pass a background check and a credit check. What does a background check? It's in the name, background. It checks your background to see if you have any felonies, if you're a sex offender, if you went upside somebody's head back in '89, got convicted for it, did a little bit of time for it, paid your debt to society, supposedly. But if it comes back like that, you won't get that little apartment. The credit check is based on bills that you did not pay a long time ago. Now, everybody that's watching this, some of y'all know from personal experience, there are good people that have bad credit. Hell, there are good people that have bad backgrounds. So miss me with that. Well, wait a minute. Some white people are good, because I know it's a defense attorney for white people watching this right now. Pro bono defense attorney. Pro bono. Ain't nobody paying you. But you trying, in your own mind, you trying to defend white people. I understand. But sometimes that's how it works. Even if you're a good person, your history can come back to haunt you. But what if they didn't actually ever do anything? But what if they actually love black people and they love Hispanic people and they love, what if they never did anything? Okay, well, now let's go to your Bible. Let's go to the same Bible that you forced on us, 1555, in the slave making practice. Y'all remember that? Let's go to that Bible real quick and see about situations where people before you, but related to you, did some things that they shouldn't have did. Let's go to the Bible. Let's go to the book of Numbers. Interesting, the book of Numbers. Because the book of Numbers and the book of Exodus deal with the sojourn of the Hebrew slaves as they were being brought out of the slavery of Israel, in the bondage of Israel. It says, and I quote, 14 and 18, "The Lord is slow to anger and abounding in steadfast love, forgiving iniquity and transgression, but he will by no means clear the guilty, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and the fourth generation." Not only that, it repeats itself in the book of Exodus 20 and 5. You shall not bow down to them or serve them, for I, the Lord your God, am a jealous God, visiting the iniquity of the fathers on the children to the third and the fourth generation of those who hate me. Almost verbatim the same message. Now, mind you, this is from Numbers and Exodus. These are the two chapters of your Bible that deal with the salvation of a people. Now, if you go and ask Anwar Sadat, the former president of Egypt, as he told Menachem Begin on live television, he said there has never been a history of Jews being slaves in Egypt. So that lines up with the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, where he says that 3/4 of the Bible is actually prophecy. 75% is prophecy. 25% is history. So when you read the book of Exodus, when you read the book of Numbers, it's talking about you today. It ain't just talking about your people back in the day. No. Because listen, the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, combined with the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, has been teaching that we're the real children of Israel since the 1930s. That's nothing new to my Hebrew Israelite family. Where there's a disconnect, you think you have a historic connection to some people who were Hebrew slaves 2, 3, 4,000 years ago. No, that's playing out right now. You don't believe me? Go look at the plagues that were put on Egypt and look at what's going on today. Just superimpose it over what's going on today. It'll tell you everything you need to know. So that's telling you, if you believe in your Bible, white folks, that you know what, sometimes you got to pay for what your forefathers did. I mean, right now, you know, unfortunately, as some of you may know, a couple of months ago, I lost my mother. And whenever somebody loses a family member, they're gone, you know, and we miss them. But if they had any debts, then those debts, if they're not handled, the bank is not going to be like, oh, Miss So-and-so passed away. Oh, we're so sorry. Here's the keys to the house. Y'all take care, all right? That would be a beautiful statement. That would be very commendable if banks did that, but it don't work like that. If she owed the bank money, either the family going to have to put that money up or they taking the house back. If the home is willed to a person in the family, meaning, okay, I'm going to go ahead and give the house to my firstborn. Okay, if that firstborn does not keep up the payments, guess what? They coming to get that house. They coming to get that car. They coming to get anything that was owed to them, even though the person that made the purchase, got the loan, made the transaction, is no longer on this earth alive. That's how it works. What you did before, your debts in the past, the debts of your forefathers gets paid by the later generations. That's just life. That's just life. So I'm going to ask the question again. Dear family, why haven't we canceled the culture that canceled our culture? Let's go back to the tenets. These are the tenets. These are the 5 elements of cancel culture. I love each and every one of these. Okay, first of all, you do something or say something offensive to an already oppressed people. Cool, I'm with that. The incident is shared and heavily circulated on social media. Yes, sir, put them on blast. A social, financial, cultural, and artistic boycott. I'm with that. Keep your money out of their pocket. Don't give them no more shine. It's a wrap. I love that. Label anyone that is sympathetic as complicit. Meaning I'm looking at you the same way I'm looking at them. If you feel sorry for them, you can get it too, as we say in the streets. You can get it too. Number 5, those who wish to keep their status in good standing is pressured to co-sign the cancellation. If you got a problem, the ministers told a story of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, where back in the day in the Nation of Islam, if you got put out the mosque for breaking the restrictive law, you know, they would stand you up and bring you in front of the believers and announce that you are no longer in the nation, for that period of time, whatever the period that you're sentenced with. And they tell the other believers not to convene with that person until they've done their time. And the messenger one day said he announced somebody's F time, and he noticed, some faces kind of falling, countenance was falling. And he was like, and if you got a problem with it, you can go right out the door with it. So that's what number 5 is saying. If you got a problem with us canceling this particular individual, then we're going to cancel you too. I love that. I don't have a problem with those concepts. In fact, those concepts fit so clearly with white supremacy and the Caucasian and the Western hemisphere. In fact, it's like Cinderella. The shoe fits him perfectly. It really don't fit Bill Cosby. It really don't even fit R. Kelly that well. He can get most of his toes in the shoe, but not all the way. It don't fit Michael Jackson. It don't fit hardly any of the people. It fit Harvey Weinstein, but did we really cancel him? Because many of the movies that he produced are still showing on streaming services. I still see Soul Food out there. Yeah, that was him, Soul Food. Yeah, he did a lot of black movies in the 90s, and they still collecting residuals off his movies. See? So I like the overall concept, but the main person that's guilty and should fall to this law hasn't even been brought to court. We haven't even arrested white supremacy yet. We haven't even, we sitting around waiting to see what's going to happen with Derek Chauvin, if he going to get arrested, if he going to get convicted, how many years he going to get. I'm sitting back waiting on the results of white supremacy's trial. We ain't even put them on trial yet. We ain't even put white supremacy, we ain't even put handcuffs on white supremacy. You know how I know? I don't give a damn about you walking around with a dashiki or a bow tie for that matter. I don't give a damn about you walking around looking like a Mortal Kombat character talking about we the real children of Israel. I know that we have not arrested white supremacy because we still spend 98% of our money with white-owned businesses. That lets me know that we haven't canceled them yet. But you're not watching the Cosby Show no more. You ain't bumping 12 play no more. When Thriller come on, you act like it ain't the jam now. When Remember the Time come on, you act like it's trash. Change the station. They don't even play Michael Jackson on the radio no more. They don't play R. Kelly on the radio no more. But the person in the construct most deserving of cancellation, we haven't even thought of canceling. We protesting right beside them, calling it allyship. You know what? Because I got to show you this. Before we get up out of here, family. We ain't going to be on much longer. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I was doing some research, and man, they done broke this down to a science. They got stuff like this breaking down all the so-called accusers of Bill Cosby. And then they broke down this chart, breaking down the 25-year timeline of R. Kelly's accusations. This ain't a NationTown production. This is some website broke it down to a science. This look like it's breaking down, how to build a automobile or something. I mean, look how scientific it looks. They broke it down year to year. Broke it down. Okay. Well, here's what NationTown gonna do real quick before we get out of here. I'm gonna plead my case. Since y'all scared to arrest white supremacy, I'll arrest them. I'll bring them to trial. Let's go down their history. Let's run a credit check real quick. Let's run a background real quick. Like they say, the pre-approval check, where they just kind of check it. I don't really understand how that works, but just a pre-approval. Just before we tell you to get the hell out of here, let's at least run your social security number to see what your credit might be looking like. Maybe if we see the first 2 numbers, we'll get an idea if you can afford this car or not. Let's run a quick little credit check on white supremacy in the hills of North America. Let's start where it all started. That good old slave ship Jesus. There it is. The making of a slave, the capturing of the slaves. There it is. The breaking of the slave. How they did our women, how they did our men. Buck breaking. Shout out to brother Nasheed, Tariq Nasheed. Buck breaking, the defiant slaves. The mutilation of our brothers and sisters. The whaps on their back that they went to their graves with. Cutting off limbs if they were defiant. Even coming up with clinical mental diseases. Drapetomania. Telling us that we must be crazy if we don't want to be a Western chattel slave. Something must be wrong with you, black man, if you don't love your master. And there's Negroes walking around here today that look at us crazy. Somebody watching this right now and will watch this and be like, this nigga's crazy. I love me some white folks. I love white supremacy. That's where they supposed to be. They supposed to be on top. Oh, Uncle Ruckus Negro. Putting things like this on us. An iron collar for preventing the escape of slaves. Terrorism. Oh yeah, they invented terrorism. I'm gonna let you look at this picture for a little bit, because the worst of this picture is cropped out. And know that this ain't a superhero that's floating above ground. This is a mob. Speaking of mob mentality, see, all based on accusations, and they just look at the little boy right beneath the feet, just having a good old day, like that's a piece of fruit hanging over his head, and he can't wait to get it down and bite into it. That's terrorism. Ku Klux Klan terrorism. Look at this. Look at the joy on her face. Look at the joy on it. I'm just running a background check. Y'all bear with me. It's just a background check. Just running through it. It ain't looking too good already. We ain't even made it into the 17th century yet. And it ain't looking good, white folks. I don't think you're going to get this car. I don't think you're going to get this Kia. You damn sure ain't getting the Cadillac. Well, we might have a skateboard for you in the back, but I don't know. I don't know. Now, I want y'all to look at this for a minute, because this is really interesting. Some of you may not know that the movie Birth of a Nation, starring Nate Parker, which was a biography of Nat Turner, that was the second movie called Birth of a Nation. In fact, the first version of Birth of the Nation was the first box office blockbuster. It was this movie, The Birth of a Nation, which was essentially, and not let me take that back. It wasn't essentially. It was literally a Ku Klux Klan propaganda and recruitment film that aired in theaters all over America when the movie industry was. This is one of the first movies, period, and definitely one of the first hit movies. What was it about? What was it about? It was about a poor little white girl who was so afraid of Negroes, even her own Negro maid, that's a white woman in the background with blackface, pretending to be a vicious Negro maid, which is ridiculous, because didn't nobody love white people more than some of their Negro maids. Some of them hated them in truth, but some of them were so submissive to their masters, it don't even make sense. And she was going about one day minding her lily white business, and she was attacked by an evil Negro, also a white man in blackface. So a mob of white knights of the Ku Klux Klan came and captured him. What you see right there toward the bottom, that's that white man in blackface pretending to be a black man. They captured him and burned him at the stake. This movie basically did for Ku Klux Klan recruitment what the Million Man March did for Nation of Islam recruitment. This inspired white people to become armed white supremacists in the Ku Klux Klan, what we call now race soldiers. And ironically, our brother Nate Parker right before this movie, this brilliant movie was released, right before it was released, accusations that had already been kicked out of court and he was already exonerated for, accusations of a white girl claiming that he sexually assaulted her, popped up out of nowhere. This brother had did all kind of movies prior to this movie, but now all of a sudden, before the Nat Turner story drops, the same accusations in the original Birth of a Nation came to life when the next Birth of the Nation was about to be released. So therefore, this movie didn't even do what it should have did. It only made $40 million at the box office, which is nothing today. Oh, but y'all flocked to go see Black Panther with your brand new dashikis fresh out the packaging, fresh out of China. You should have took your child to go see the Birth of a Nation. But you didn't, because you didn't have white permission. Your master didn't permit you to. I'm just halfway through the damn background check. The 3/5 compromise. This is where this is literally the cancellation, not just of our culture, people, but of our humanity. It says a slave would count only 3/5 of a person for representation in Congress. If you voted, your vote was only 3/5 of a white vote. You were 3/5 of a human being. You were considered subhuman. The Tulsa race riot. We all know it. We all shed crocodile tears last month over it. I say crocodile tears because y'all still spending y'all money with the same devils. So until I see y'all, until I see a mall with not one black face in it, then I'll call it crocodile tears. Don't tell me nothing about Black Wall Street if you still spending 98% money that you don't have to spend with this enemy. Tuskegee attack. That wasn't no damn experiment. You experiment on damn guinea pigs, not human beings. Some of y'all still gonna take this vaccine, Tuskegee 2. COINTELPRO was all about stopping the rise of a black messiah by directly and indirectly attacking black constructs and organizations. Now I want you to look at this picture for a minute, because this really sums up what I just said. They say a picture says 1,000 words. COINTELPRO was all about attacking and dismantling black organizations directly and indirectly. What you see right here is our brother, Malcolm X. You see him. And what he's pointing to are photographs outside of Mosque number 27, Temple number 27 here in Los Angeles from April 27th, 1962. That date is etched in my mind. Where a believer in the Nation of Islam was murdered, another one was paralyzed, and the whole mosque was raided by the LAPD. And this is Malcolm X teaching on the situation. What he's pointing at is an example of direct infiltration from COINTELPRO and that culture. But Malcolm himself turned out to be a victim of indirect, where they caused strife within the Nation of Islam and then used patsies, as we now found out by admittance of a brother who was in the NYPD and worked with the FBI to assassinate Malcolm X. So this picture tells the whole damn story. This is probably the photo of Marcus Garvey that you are most familiar with. But did you know that in this photo, the brother sitting next to him is a federal informant? He was surrounded by agents and informants. Surrounded by him. And the one sitting next to him was one of the most prominent, and he gave some of the most information to J. Edgar Hoover that led to the downfall of Marcus Garvey. Chemical attacks. Y'all remember the crack epidemic? If you 30 years or older, you know. How did we get the crack? Oh, we sold that to each other. But where we get it from? Where we get it from? They were giving Freeway Rick crack cocaine. He wasn't even, the brother was a tennis player. He wanted to be, he wasn't even really banging like that. He wasn't even in the streets like that, but they were giving him this. He had to rent out apartments just to fill up the walls and the attics with money and cocaine because he didn't have nowhere to put it. It wasn't enough dope fiends on the street yet for him to sell it all. They was giving him so much free crack. They took our street organizations that started off as offshoots of organizations like the Black Panther Party with a pro-black aim and mutated them into the Crips and Bloods and GDs and Vice Lords that we see today. So don't so you can miss me with the black on black crime. There ain't no such thing as black on black crime. A black man would never harm another black man. Only a nigga would harm another black man. And in some cases, a black man might have to kill a nigga. But there's no such thing as black on black crime. And it's all still going on today. And the numbers just keep on piling up. Shout out to everybody chiming in. I'm about to log off. I appreciate y'all showing me love. NationTownTV, we're going to continue to go live on YouTube, but I gotta finish with a couple of things. First of all, we do strive to hear from the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan on every episode. We strive to. Sometimes it doesn't match the content, but when it does, I make sure that we do. So we're gonna close out with a word from our minister. But let me just touch on this one last time. I mentioned Black Wall Street and Dick Rowland. Dick Rowland, a.k.a. Richard Rowland, that was the young brother that was accusations of accosting a white girl in the elevator, and that supposedly kicked off the Black Wall Street massacre. It was much deeper than that, and that incident has not even been proven to actually had happened. Even the white girl that made the accusation never pressed charges. Did you know that? Never pressed charges, but he was still arrested. Many of you are familiar with that. Almost all of you are probably familiar with Emmett Till. Same situation. The excuse that was given is that he whistled at or flirted with a white woman in Mississippi. He was from Chicago. She went back home, told her boyfriend and her brothers and stuff, and they came, they took Emmett Till, they beat him, shot him, maimed him, threw him in the water. And it got me to thinking about cancel culture. It got me to thinking that based on how cancel culture really works right now, how all it takes is accusations from a white girl. And I don't care what Caucasians do. I've seen them do worse. There ain't nothing they can do. They can surprise me anymore. Thanks to the teachers of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the guidance of the Honorable Minister Louis Farrakhan, they don't surprise me no more. It's when we do something stupid. Based on how cancel culture works right now, if Emmett Till were a rapper and Dick Rowland was a comedian, these little boys, these young men, if Dick Rowland was a comedian and Emmett Till was a rapper, you would have canceled. I'm talking to Black Twitter right now, Black YouTube, Black Facebook, all my sister feminists out there. If they would have handled Dick Rowland's trial, his trial of public opinion, Emmett Till's trial of public opinion, if they were celebrities, you would have canceled Emmett Till and Dick Rowland first. And then the Caucasians would have finished the job. If we leave it up to our so-called culture that we think we have now, and so-called cancel culture, if these two brothers were celebrities, we would have canceled them. You would have canceled Emmett Till before they even threw him in that water. You would have canceled Dick Rowland before one match was lit on Black Wall Street, before one bomb dropped, before one business storefront glass was broken. You would have canceled Dick Rowland. You would have said, you would have been sitting in a barbershop in Black Wall Street talking to your friends, talking about, I told you that nigga Dick was a fool. I always knew he liked them white girls. You would have canceled Dick Rowland and you would have canceled Emmett Till. So with that said, and you know, some of you may get offended by our opinions on Nation TV, and here's my response to that. Please prove me wrong. I want to be wrong. I want to be wrong about these things. I want to be. Because I know if I'm wrong about the things that, especially the things that prosecute my own people, then that means my own people are leveling up. So I want to be wrong about these things. But with that said, the minister on this clip is going to talk about an early form of cancel culture, because another part of cancel culture is tearing down statues, bringing down things like the Confederate flag and all of that, as if that has some kind of real effect on our lives as black people. So cancel culture, they just gave it that name, but it's been around for a while. So the minister is talking about the Confederate flag and the truth of the matter. So I want you to watch our dear brother minister. It's a real short clip, but I'm going to leave you as I greeted you in the words of peace. I want to thank everybody in the YouTube family. Get used to this NationTownTV Live every Tuesday. We might even hit you on Thursdays and Sundays with revolutionary relationships. I'm going to leave you as I greeted you in the words of peace. Assalamu alaikum.
That subject, I know you don't like the Confederate flag.
Go ahead, man. That's right. That's right.
I know you don't like it.
That's right. That's right. Yes, sir.
I want you to listen to this. Here's a flag flying. The old South flag. Old Confederacy.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
White folks like to remember yesterday. People that live in yesterday are dead in today. Where they fly that symbol? Remember when we had the Negroes? In slavery, that was the good old days. Yeah, but don't try that today. But they are trying it in a different way.
That's right.
They're too intelligent to just put you in slavery.
That's right. Go ahead.
I'll get to that later.
Come on with it. Tell it, brother.
The Confederate flag is a symbol of the old South.
Right. That's right.
That's history. That's American history.
Right.
They're not going to destroy that
That's right.
because we suffered under that flag.
All right. Go ahead.
That's a part of the history of this nation.
All right.
Some of the folks say, well, we should take Robert E. Lee's picture down. For what?
Go ahead, preacher.
For what? He was a general
That's right.
that believed in the old way of the old South. Bless his heart. And he fought Ulysses S. Grant,
That's right.
who believed in the old way of the old South in the new North.
There you go.
One of them was Satan, and the other just a plain old devil. And you was catching hell in the North, in the South. So now you talk to me. You want to pull down the Confederate flag. Why you don't get some courage? Why you don't get some courage and pull down the American flag, since that's the flag that you still suffering under?
this message.